Hello guys, welcome. Robert and I are here with a game that we have been dreadfully excited about since it was first announced. Me because it looked like a new game, that was fascinating, and Robert because it's 40K, which is something that he was familiar with.
Hey, I like new games.
And I was not familiar with. We've played this game now, and
just once though.
I think it's amazing.
Just kidding.
I think it's a really solid game. I'm actually getting into the 40K universe through this game, and it also seems to be a pretty cool universe. So thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you for that, Robert. But we're going to dive in here. We're not going to go over all the cards in a typical unboxing format. What we're going to do, though, is show you what you can expect when you pop a core set open and what's in there. So let's get to it, shall we, Robert?
Yes.
First of all, why don't you talk about the cover here?
Okay,
I'll give that to you.
so on the cover, you're going to be very familiar with this art because this guy, front and center, is Sicarius. He's a space marine. He's from the Ultramarine faction, and he's actually one of the first warlords that we get to deal with, of the 7 factions that come in this box.
That's great.
But first, let's talk about some of the things we get in this box.
All right, so right off the top, we have the Learn to Play document. Now, this is a new thing that Fantasy Flight is doing in their games. I think it's really solid. This is your very basic kind of like set up and play the game right now. You just got it. You're super excited. You and your buddy have opened it up, and it's like, we don't want to dive through a 20, 30, 80 page rule book just to set a game up. If anyone's a board gamer out there, which most of you probably are, you kind of know this concept of setup time, right? How long does it take to set up and teach? And so they're trying to expedite this by having the Learn to Play, which is the very quick start, get the idea of the game, get the feel, and then the more comprehensive rules reference guide. And this is where you're going to find stuff like, where are my action windows, which I can actually show you. Where are my action windows? Gives you the whole charts.
Yeah.
Gives you everything, like how does such and such interact, conflicting passes, conflicting responses, that kind of stuff. And it gives you a quick reference chart on the back, which is really nice.
Very nice.
So that's all good. I think this is a really good way to do it. You have your quick guide.
You also have the alignment wheel on the back of your Learn to Play pamphlet. Very important.
So fun.
It's so great. I love wheels.
Learn to Play guide, and then the rules reference guide. So these are the two things that you're going to see right off the top, and that's going to get you started. You pick up the Learn to Play thing, and that's going to run you through the factions, the components, how to set up the game, and then a basic run into the phases. So you can go ahead and just get started playing.
Yep, almost immediately.
And then what's next? It says, well, check out the rules reference guide. And it's like, okay, we'll do.
Thank you.
Those two things, and then we also have our standard sheet of tokens.
Token board.
And these are actually exceptionally good tokens, I would say.
They even feel like a slight bit heftier than tokens.
They are heftier.
That might
Look
just
at
be
that
in my
cardboard.
head.
I'm going to pop these guys out.
Popping them.
So we've got your damage tokens.
Now they're no longer mint condition.
We can see here. And we have resource tokens. You're so right. What am I doing?
Save them.
Which are your little blue, yellow gear wrench hammer things.
Kind of space marine vibe.
What do you use in 40K? What's the currency? Is that a thing?
No real currency, but this is like very
Death?
tech marine looking.
Bodies.
It's great.
The currency is bodies.
The currency is death.
So you have your damage icons. You have your resource icons. You also have your first player or initiative token, which is unapologetically, is that a space marine thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Imperium of Man symbol.
Ooh. What if I'm not playing Imperium of Man?
You're going to lose.
You're not going first.
You will lose.
So this passes back and forth throughout the game. Keeps track of things. You also have your first planet token. This tells you what is the first planet, which is important to the game because you can only capture the first planet, and battles always happen at the first planet.
That's right.
So the interesting thing about this token is that whenever you're playing without it, you don't notice really most of the time.
It could be seemingly redundant, but there is some capacity for confusion in the mid to latter parts of the game where it's not immediately apparent.
Yeah.
So
most of the time, you've got like there are 5 actives and then your inactive stack, unactive, disactive, inactive,
counteractive,
stack. all actives checked.
Demi-active. I don't know.
Suffixes, prefixes. But then as the game goes on, maybe you have 4 planets, there's no unrevealed planets, and it's like, is it on the left or the right? And like everybody knows it's on the way that it always has been, but maybe I got up and got some nachos or something, and then I came back and it's like, where were we again?
A Frankfurter.
Where were we? And then we also have these little dials.
Show us the front of that thing.
It's kind of like water balloons.
Crazy.
And then they've got a little skull on there. Little skull and little
it's nice.
front thing. So as you might imagine, if you're an X-Wing player, you'll snap to this real quick.
Some assembly
you put them together, and then there's this little package of dial
Nibs.
Snappers. And you snap it together. And,
Dial nibs, man. They're everywhere these days.
I'm gonna nib in while you.
Excellent.
We also have proof of purchase, which is really, it's just kind of a. It's
just
a,
like
it's a
on
red
a cereal
herring.
box, you know, you send in 5 of these.
It's
things,
a red
you get
herring
something.
because I've never, like, they used to be used for things,
Yeah.
and since we started playing FFG games, we have never seen these used for anything.
Mm-mm.
And so I was like, well, I don't want to get rid of it because what if they run that promotion
Someday,
Yeah, a
it's
year
like,
from now, it's like turn in 1,000
master
proof
plan.
of
10 years
purchases.
from now, they launch their redeem proofs of purchase for.
And then
luxury
everyone who
cruise.
just threw out their like 1,000 stash is
Yeah.
like,
Remember when you were complaining about buying 3 core boxes of all these games? Well, now there's a reason.
so
to
I don't
it.
know if you need this.
You might. For posterity, hold on to it.
I don't know. I don't like holding on to things like
'Cause
that. It drives me
Our
crazy.
bizarre fantasies might come true.
I've heard also that putting these out together, you put you put like the hollow side in first. I think that's the way to do
Hollow
it.
nib first.
And it's not the easiest thing. I've done this for X-Wing a bunch.
Wait, I have never put the hollow side in. Wait, oh no, the hollow side. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Are you sure?
No,
Maybe it's the
it
other
is-
way.
It is
Maybe
hollow
I'm
side.
misremembering.
I think you're correct. The female nib goes first.
You sure?
Yeah. I usually lead with the female.
There it goes. Yeah, all right, there we go. We did it. And then we can put
There you go.
the
Man.
front side in. And
As you can see, it takes literally moments.
moments away, and your dial is moving.
And a nice press.
And now your dial is going to be what you use to determine where you go on the planet. And that's important.
That's great.
Because that's hidden information. You don't want to just do it.
Don't just tell anyone.
All right, so we've got it. Dial, components.
Mm.
Let's talk about the actual cards. The meat.
I was willing to buy it just for this.
Yeah. You've already got me.
Hooked.
Take those here.
I'm taking them.
So, as you guys who know a little bit about
Nice card
Conquest know, there is a faction wheel. Those of you who don't, we'll go ahead and explain it a little bit for you guys. There is, as we said on the back, this faction wheel, and it tells you a number of things. One is all the factions playable in the game, and more importantly is what factions can ally with other factions. So, let's say I'm playing Space Marines. Because of this wheel, it tells me that I can ally with either the Imperial Guard or the Tau. I choose one of those during deck building, and then I can include non-signature cards from those factions. There's some marks that will tell you if a card is like, if it's just 2 Imperial Guard, you can't ever splash it. But there are some like splashable cards in every faction that then you can take. So this is going to tell you what factions you can ally with and what factions you might want to play. And it also tells you, oh my gosh, that's a lot of factions in the game. I've never
9.
seen that many. That's 9.
Yeah, it's insane.
Crazy.
But it's super exciting also.
Yeah,
I'm
does.
looking forward to it.
It gets me excited.
There's a lot of variety that you have to choose from. And
Well,
that
what do you-
enhances its replay value.
Let's talk about these planets. So these are kind of the landscape that you build in Warhammer 40k Conquest. And these are the planets you're going to be battling over in the, what's it, the Traxxas sector?
The
is that what it's
Traxxas
called?
sector.
We have
Sounds like a piece of exercise equipment.
we have a couple interesting things about these cards. First is they have little symbols in the top left, as you can see. And they have 3 different colors associated. You've got your blues, you've got your reds, and you've got your greens, all of which also have a symbol with them. And those tell you how you win the game, which is very important. So this kind of plays like a very interesting, a lot of board games do this. You collect certain types of cards, like Takenoko, for instance.
I love that game.
It's like, if I can collect all of the water vacation cards, then I get an
I
extra
will have had
60
the
points.
best vacation ever.
But in Warhammer, you win by collecting 3 of a given type of symbol or color, since they match. So if you have 3 blues, 3 greens, or 3 reds, then you win the game. And that is how you win in 40k Conquest. And it's a really cool mechanic. It really makes you wonder what planets are worth fighting for and what aren't. They also have
very philosophical.
secondary benefits, which are what you get when you win a command struggle. That could be cards or resources. And then a battle ability for when you win a battle at that planet, you can then trigger that ability to do something.
Yeah.
So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these cards, if I didn't miscount. And those are very important because you can't play the game without them. So enjoy these planet cards. Robert, what's next? You want to talk about these warlords?
Yeah. So the core box comes with 7 of the 9 factions that we're eventually going to have. And they are in no particular order. Space Marines, the Imperial Guard, though I believe they're actually calling them something else, which
No
I actually
way.
forget. Yes.
Astra Militarum.
Yes. So
They are, aren't they?
What would be Imperial Guard is now referred to as Astra Militarum. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get in the habit.
Everyone's going to call them IG, man.
It's always going to be IG.
It's always going to be IG,
anyway,
isn't it?
Sorry. We also have Orcs, the Dark Eldar, which are, as you might imagine, evil versions of regular Eldar. And then we have Chaos, which are kind of evil versions of Space Marines. And then last and certainly not least, the Tau.
The Tau, which are really cool blue guys.
Yeah, really cool blue guys. They're a young race, but with cool tech. And then subsequently to this in expansions, Tyranids and Necrons.
So 7 factions right out of the box, and that's really cool. That helps tremendously.
Yeah.
Just to be able to dive in.
Unprecedented.
A lot of times, like Thrones is a great example. You get your core box, you get 4 factions, and it's like... And also, there's Grey Dwarf Martell that you go outside of the box to get.
Yep.
Now, we'll have to do that, I think, for Tyranids and Necrons, or they might just be released in packs further down the road. But having 7 out of the box really allows you to choose the style that most suits you, because we all have a style that we like to play.
Yeah.
And you have 7 options here,
Or
which
styles.
is really solid.
Because, I mean, there's
styles.
just so much variety here that it's kind of mind-boggling. I'm just really excited for that alone.
I'm boggled.
Boggled. Bop it.
So Warhammer's a game where you can have 3 of a card in general circumstances. There are also these things called signature squads.
That's right.
So if I bring, for instance, Captain Cato Sicarius, there are cards that come with him that I must include in my deck. So this is kind of a beautiful fusion between like the Star Wars objective set thing and your traditional deck building. If you're playing against Sicarius, you know there are certain cards in the deck. And then there are also about 70-80%, I think, that are whatever the player has chosen to include.
Right.
And that brings a lot of flavor with it, and it brings a lot of synergy that creates a really fun and kind of flavorful experience, pretty much no matter what you're doing, which I like a lot. So you have your signature squad, and then you can have 3 of any of your other cards, either in faction or out of faction that are legal to splash.
Yep.
And I'm looking at these, and there's something that everyone's wondering about, I'm sure, and that is, well, then how many core sets do I have to buy to get a full play set? What would you say to that, Robert?
To get a full play set, the answer is 3.
I'd say 3.
Now you can get by with 2. There's enough.
You can get by with 1.
Yeah, you can get by with 1, of course. But the bare minimum is 1. Of course. So yeah, so get 3 if you want at least 3 of everything. And actually, I think this is one of the more handy general releases that we've seen formatted like that, because there are more one-copied cards than I think we've seen in any other core set.
Yeah, you get way less dupes this way.
Other than maybe Game of Thrones. So as compared to something like Netrunner, that kind of thing, where there are plenty of other cards that have 2 and or 3 copies. This one has plenty of 1s, so you'll get what appears to be way more mileage for each of those 3 purchases.
Yeah, and then you'll feel amazing.
Yeah, because there are some cards in here that you totally want 3 copies of. They will just make your deck work that much better, more consistently. You guys know the drill. So,
man, oh man,
the doctor recommends.
I'm just looking at these, and I'm just like, these are great.
So yeah, how many? Can you give a rough guess at how many player cards come with each faction?
Oh my goodness.
Just wink. Just count one.
Yeah, give me a rough guess.
Yeah, that looks
1,
like
2, 3, 4,
30-ish.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
Count them right now.
I've got 18
Whoa, that's
Chaos
it.
CGs, but they may be split against that one because we had two
Yeah,
packs.
you're correct.
So I'm going to
Let's
look at
check.
these.
So you got 18 there. Oh, yep. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more. So about 30.
Yeah, there you go. You get about 30 dudes
per thing, and then of course you get to choose one faction to splash with. There are also, I think, like 6 to 8 different neutral cards, 2 copies of each, that you can splash into any of these factions.
And they're actually really significant.
They are.
I've got to say. I'll just pull them out. I've got 2 No Mercies, 2 Void Pirates, 2 Rogue Traders, 2 Fallbacks, 2 Mines, and 2 Promotions. And cards like No Mercy are going to consistently see play. The Void Pirate is going to consistently see it. Rogue Trader, Fallback, iffy. Promethean Mine, again, kind of iffy, but early in a game's life, having that kind of economy is going to be important.
Yeah.
So that's,
especially when there aren't really alternatives right now.
And my personal favorite,
Promotion.
God,
that's such a good card.
Hey, would you like to not win a command struggle? Because I can make that happen for you.
And it costs me nothing. Thanks. Oh, and then also I wanted to point out, you get 2 handy-dandy phase reference cards, so you can keep track of all the sequences of all the phases as you play through the game.
All right, so just to go over again, aside from the components, we get our reference cards, which are very nice. I was actually using these when I was playing earlier, and they're very handy, very useful. You get 7 warlords, each corresponding to the 7 factions that come in. We have the Cato Sicarius for Space Marines, Colonel Strachan for Astra Militarum, also known as Imperial Guard, Nazareg for the Orcs, Packmaster Kith for the, what are these, the Dark Eldar?
Dark Eldar.
Eldorath Starbane for the Eldar. Ooh. You have Zerathur High Sorcerer. These are the Bernie guys. What's their name?
Chaos.
Chaos. And then Commander Shadow Sun for the Tau.
Love it.
So those 7 factions with their 7 warlords, and then about 30 cards for these factions as well that are pretty much built armies. You throw the neutrals in and you're good to go.
Yep.
And then you also get 2 of every neutral card. So lots of good stuff. I think if you want to get the game and try it out, get 1 core set. Once you fall in love with the game and get hooked on it, which will invariably be the next thing, you're going to want to buy another core set. And then once you're like really building decks and like being competitive with this game, etc., you're going to want 3. And because having 6 Void Pirates is going to be what you want anyway. If you have 2 decks, you're probably going to use 6 Void Pirates. Like,
right off the bat.
I know how good these guys are.
Can't wait.
So that is the rundown of what you get in the deck. You also get the planet cards, which you need to play, the 10 planets. But that's not all.
But wait.
Since we, in our presentation,
we're saving the best for last,
get
really, right
forever more like an infomercial. If only to be ironic.
Now, what would you pay for all this? How many payments of what?
I'd pay about $35.
Wow. That's exactly what we're charging.
You also get tokens. These are little token cards that correspond to some factions' special abilities to bring non-in-your-deck cards or things into play. Great example being Snotlings for the Orcs. These are just little 1/1 guys, and you bring them in. And this is actually turning into what I feel like is almost a framework part of Warhammer.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like a universe where there's just a ton of things.
Oh, yeah.
And they all need to be dying, at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of factions are having this ability to bring random faceless
dudes,
bodies into the battle.
Oh, by the way, there's a Snotling here.
So you have Snotlings.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and you get 10 of each. So 10 Snotlings. You get 10 Guardsmen, which are like the Imperial Guard or Astra Militarium, just small dudes. 1/2s though.
Hard to kill for a weenie.
1/2s are awesome.
Beefy little weenie.
You have Cultist 1/1, but when you deploy it, sacrifice this, or when you deploy a Daemon unit, sacrifice this unit to reduce it by 1, so you can kill your Cultist to lower your stuff.
Nice.
And then you have the Chimeras, which are 2/1.
Woo. Flip it around, why don't you?
And they have no attachments.
Glass cannons.
So cheers to that. So you've got 40 additional of these small unit cards that will come into play based on the faction that you're playing. Anything I'm missing here, Robert?
I don't think so, other than the fact that this game is great, which we've said.
It really
so you weren't
is.
missing it, but
I got to be honest, like I was expecting a good game, but me not really being in a 40K and thinking that it's such an aggressive and highly violent game would be a little loose on the mechanics, as they often are, right? It's usually kind of just like, just big, weird stuff happening. Yeah. But this is, I like that, sophisticated. It's a very sophisticated game. It's very intelligent design. We got a chance to talk to Eric Lang about it, and he said everything that I would expect him to say, honestly, about how it works, why he did the things that he did, and it all has come together really beautifully. So as a doubter myself, when I first heard 40K LCG, it's like, of all the things that would interest me, that's on the low end of the spectrum. It has now certainly skyrocketed itself to be something that I'm very much looking forward to every time
honestly,
that I play.
yes. Like, it is just a truly impressive game through and through. So give it a look.
Yeah, give it a look. That's what's in the box. Hopefully that informs your guys' decisions a little bit better. And if you do want some of these boxes, we sell them on our web store. You can find that at teamcommando.com/store. And they are, if you're watching now, for pre-order. But if you're watching this once the game is out, which should be pretty soon, they're in stock, or it should be. So thank you guys for watching so much. Please check out Conquest if you haven't. This is an amazing game. And we have tons of great announcements and things coming for this game. So stay tuned, and we do appreciate you.